company praise energy with a higher purpose.
The backlash that I've seen is people saying, well, he's slapping God's name on it to make money.
I don't get why us as Christians get so mad when a Christian influencer uses Jesus as their brand.
Who cares if they have false or true motives as long as the gospel is being proclaimed? Crawford is doing so much more for the entire Christian community than some of you have done in your entire life.
When Jesus turned the tables at the temple in a holy rage against those who would turn the house of God into a den of thieves, I don't think that anybody there could have envisioned the internet age. The verses clearly depict a young Jesus's fury towards those who would exploit the churchgoers on holy ground.
Freaking out because God's love overcomes just dropped the coolest hoodie I think I've ever seen in my whole life. This has never been done before.
These Bible inserts are my favorite find lately on TikTok Shop. They are transparent Bible inserts. As you can see, you can still see the wording down below. You're getting 15.
We're gonna do a Sheen haul. I bought some cute Christian shirts.
If you're wanting to start reading the Bible, but it feels a little intimidating, these books have helped me so much. Say you want to read the book of Ephesians, all you have to do is just take this tiny little book, scan this code up here so you get confused on a passage, and it's going to pop up different commentaries, devotionals, Bible study.
I got 5 Christian t-shirts, and these are like $5 to $10 a piece.
I recently lost 10 pounds, and here are 3 tips I have from a Christian perspective on how I did it.
This is a sample of the Bible starter kit. I am so excited.
What is my company? Praise energy with a higher purpose. We've been developing this company for over a year so that people know that the energy drinks and the hydration that are being put out are coming from a gospel-centered, faith-driven business.
In today's internet age filled with e-proselytizing, in a Christian faith that has evolved away from literal temples, in a time where many believers are seeking out sermons online, teachings through influencers, or insights from others walking the same lifestyle that they are. In the Christian faith, believers are told with no uncertainty who the church is. It's not the brick and mortar church buildings on the side of a strip mall or even the most stunning cathedrals. It's the people. The church is made up of every single individual believer into one body of Christ. Because the church is made up of individual people, the meeting places for worship can vary from your local chapel to a chat room, to Spotify playlists, to a TikTok influencer. Christians and those who have left the church, like myself, have to question the increasing monetization of belief on Christian influencer platforms. We've seen it with Girl Defined selling courses and books on sex, marriage, and intimacy, all with a very lofty price tag tacked onto it.
It really started about 3 years ago. You know.
I know.
And we
didn't know it was starting then.
We didn't know it was
starting.
It was starting. We hosted a conference for women, young women, on the topics of sex and sexuality, God's design for all of that. We were terrified. I'm not gonna lie.
It was so calling us as women to live all in for Christ. Women who live for the applause of our King alone. We hope you'll join us for our upcoming conference, Chasing Truth, Being a Girl Who Fearlessly Pursues God's Word. This 2-day conference will equip you to become a woman who unapologetically chases after God's truth in your own life. This year, we're excited to bring you over a dozen breakout sessions, 20 speakers, small group discussion time, food trucks, live worship, and plenty of hangout time with the sisterhood from around the world. Y'all, this is a weekend you don't want to miss.
Despite the fundamentalist sisters struggling in their own marriages and having been admittedly set back by the purity culture ideals that they themselves preached, they didn't shy away from selling a faith as experts.
Excited to announce the launch of our fall online mentoring course. We have been looking forward to this fall course for the whole year.
I had no idea how much purity culture had impacted my view of womanhood.
From modesty to my purity ring to saving my first kiss for marriage.
I fell into this ditch.
And then again, we've seen it with Paul and Morgan. As a recent example, Morgan launched a course called Wife in the Wild. It's a nearly $50 course that I was able to complete. Morgan, like Girl Defined, does not have the experience, the degree, or the fruitful marriage to justify the very high cost associated with the so-called religious programming. I have no problem with monetization in general. This video is monetized. I make money off of these videos, and for that I do thank you guys, the viewers and the readers of my content. But something that many of you guys have noticed is that I don't take sponsorships here. Brands have reached out, and someday I hope to accept one, but the reality is that so far they just aren't brands that I ethically align with. The money would be great, especially at my current channel size, but I'd like to think that you and I here have built a mutual level of respect. I don't want to be parasocial, but honestly, I do listen to you guys when you give me feedback. And although I know that you guys aren't mindless bots who are just going to purchase anything because I tell you to, I would hate to misuse any trust that I have built with you guys by promoting something for monetary gain that I don't believe in at best, or I think is harmful or a scam at worst. I can't do that. This is the exact ethical area I get into with Christian influencers who monetize things. There's the initial level of not taking sponsors who are unethical or selling shitty merch, but then there's also the second level of creating and selling your own products when they aren't good for your audience, are outrageously priced, or are low quality. Finally, there's the selling your faith to your audience. Each of these to me are an ethical layer that progressively gets worse as you go on. Each uses trust and good people to build your own bank account.
And I'm going to just say the quiet part out loud. A lot of people are not even following Jesus. Y'all just monetizing off of his name. Y'all are making clothing lines. Y'all are selling products. I see holy oils. I see hats. I see podcasts. I see all these things that Christ is on the brand name, but he's not even at the center of your life. He didn't even tell you to do that. You just knew that Christians were a good market, because you knew they will wear your t-shirts and your brand to their churches. Some of y'all are selling things that God don't got his hand on or in. And this is the exact reason why Jesus chased people out of the temple with a whip.
Told you to start what? Christian nightclub, Christian energy drink, Christian gym. Yeah, okay, sweetheart, I'm sure God told you all that. While I understand the original purpose is to kind of make this religion, Christianity, kind of like cool and mainstream and, you know, appealing towards Gen Z who has historically, you know, left the church in droves, or millennials, I guess. Regardless, don't you think we're going a little too far with the creativity here?
The temple definitely looks different these days, and they're not selling outrageously priced sacrifices for God anymore. They're selling you energy drinks, books, and courses, religiously based clothing lines, and unachievably holy lifestyles that aren't even outlined in the Bible. They're not standing in front of the building, they're on your YouTube screens. They're not some sleazy salesperson you've never seen the face of before. They are the creators that many of us watch, support, donate to, or legitimately feel like we trust. These are people whose fans fall asleep praying about them in their dramas. I might not be a Christian, but I think that Jesus was a pretty cool guy. And if he were alive today, I think that he'd be going to churches and tearing the Wi-Fi out of the buildings everywhere. I think he'd set fire to the sale of a lifestyle rather than advocacy for faith in salvation, his resurrection, and eventual return.
We've been developing this company for over a year so that people know that the energy drinks and the hydration that are being put out are coming from a gospel-centered, faith-driven business where you know the heart behind the company, the people behind the company love Jesus and want to see everyone know him as well. There's so many brands out there online that push different agendas and doctrines, and why support those businesses when you can support people who actually want to see the gospel go forth? Our energy drink has 100 milligrams of caffeine that comes from green tea extract, and we use monk fruit, organic cane sugar, and stevia to sweeten the drink to offer the cleanest sweetener possible. Furthermore, every energy drink, electrolyte package, and all of our products are prayed over before it hits our website or even offered in stores. We even have a QR code feature where you can scan our drink and put in a prayer request, and within 24 hours, a physical person from our team will have prayed for your prayer.
Bryce Crawford's release of his energy drink, Praise Energy. The tagline is energy with a higher purpose. It's the tagline that smacks you in the face the second that you take a peek at the Praise Energy website, which is his debut product. Bryce Crawford is is a highly popular and rapidly growing Christian influencer. He makes TikToks, he's pretty active on Instagram, he goes to speaking engagements, he aligns himself with some pretty gnarly people, and he makes long-form content on YouTube.
Guys, we're here in Harrison, Arkansas right now. I'm here with Mr. Thomas Robb, the National Director, Grand Imperial Wizard of the Knights Party of the Ku Klux Klan. And you're here in Harrison. This is a Christian Revival Center. This is where you guys gather and you pastor the church out here, correct?
You're correct on most of that.
Okay.
He's garnered a pretty big following of young people who look up to Bryce and who genuinely do trust him. They see his perceived passion for his faith and hear his testimony of radical healing from mental illness, and they know one thing: they want that. Even the most seasoned Christians watching him know that there's just something that's kind of different about Bryce and his content. Sure, they may have been faithful followers of the Lord their entire lives, but God hadn't healed them or their chronic illnesses or their mental health concerns. God wasn't speaking to them in dreams or thrusting massive success into their laps. So they listened to Bryce to get closer to God. They are inspired by him, and they think that they can trust him because he says that all of his content is in line with a holy and righteous living God. Shared values build trust, but the name of Jesus? People have been buying into his content for a long time. The recent energy drink release, Praise Energy, he hasn't strayed at all from Christian marketing.
I've been making a Christian energy drink for about a year now, and I forgot to set money aside for the marketing budget. So I'm just going to tell you guys about the energy drink. So it's 100 milligrams of caffeine made with green tea caffeine, about half the amount of caffeine that you get out of a regular energy drink. I just got convicted. I'm a big energy drink connoisseur and was like, I'm tired of drinking stuff that's got like 50 ingredients and it's going to like give me heart issues in 5 years. I want to actually honor God with what I consume in my body. So if you want to be ready for Praise Energy, go to drinkpraise.com.
One slogan says, fuel the grind, honor the soul. And at risk of sounding snarky, since I am an agnostic person, I just have to say, when did we forget the verse, I can do all things through Christ who is my strength, through Christ who strengthens me? If the allegedly unhealthy versions of the drinks that Bryce felt convicted about were wrong, why would this be really any different? Could God have been teaching him to lean on God, perhaps, instead of just milder forms of caffeine? The Praise Energy website goes on to say this: Praise Energy exists at the intersection of faith, culture, and everyday performance. What began as a vision to bring clean, balanced energy into everyday life has grown into purpose-driven brand rooted in belief, intention, and community. Every can is crafted to support focus, momentum, and endurance while staying grounded in faith and honoring the work that God places before us. I have to say one thing first. If Bryce Crawford, a Christian, made an energy drink and left religion out of it, I wouldn't really care. Not any more than I do when people sell shitty merch at exorbitant prices, which, after looking at merch, I do get it. That is, they have to be ridiculously priced, but that is why then I'm not selling you guys merch, because it would be shitty and very expensive. The problem for me is when we start lying. It's when, as someone who got deep into the church at one point, they start taking advantage of good believers who want nothing more than a close relationship with God and a transformed life. It's when he shared that he was convicted about energy drinks, despite the fact that most Christians don't believe that God convicts us at random. If it's wrong for you, then it's also wrong for me. Not many other Christians share the same spiritual view on caffeine.
I decided to start a Christian energy drink company, and here's how. I had my first energy drink when I was 18 years old, and I was working 13-hour shifts every day, hot in the sun, on boats in Florida, and I was drinking them the same reason that many people drink coffee and energy drinks. It was to get through a work day, or to lift in the morning, late night study session, or to hit the flow state and whatever you're doing. But at the end of 2024, I started getting convicted about the things I was eating and drinking and consuming. And so that started my journey on creating this energy drink company that honors Jesus on the branding. I wanted to make it Christian because I want people to know we're Christian. I want people to know that we love Jesus. Christian founders, Christian employees that are putting love, intentionality, purpose, zeal, passion behind every drink, every product, every flavor, every formula. I want to use this more than just a product, as a tool to plant seeds and start conversations about Jesus. But furthermore, about the product, I wanted to make a cleaner option on the energy drink market. Some energy drinks offer 200 milligrams of caffeine in their cups. We have 100 milligrams of caffeine, and the best form of caffeine coming from green tea extract. Your average cup of coffee has about 95 milligrams of caffeine in it, and this has 100. Great option. We're naturally flavored, and I believe that this option is going to be a better option and a cleaner option on the market. And so that's why we decided to create Praise Energy.
Christianity Today had this to say on the release, and surprisingly, I agreed with a lot of what they had to say. Energy drinks are an $80 billion business. Praise Energy is an example of the wellness washing of energy drinks. It's also an example of the newest Christian diet and health wave and the ways the Christian label is being used to sell supplements, skincare, and other wellness-adjacent products, largely through influencers online. Faith washing has become its own form of wellness marketing, and savvy influencers and supplement companies are finding that it's an effective way to reach Christian consumers. It later goes on to say, for people who are very online, supporting Christian influencers like Crawford can feel like supporting evangelistic ministries. And that is exactly the issue that I take with things. For Bryce's supporters, buying Praise Energy feels like supporting a ministry. Bringing one of the cans to the gym feels like evangelism. Buying a pack for your friend who doesn't attend church might just be the most that he sees of God that entire year. It's not just about supporting Bryce, which people want to do, and I argue my subscribers already do just by viewing my videos, not by making these crazy purchases in the name of a holier lifestyle, one that coincidentally aligns exactly with mine. The article later finishes by saying, for many people, natural feels godly, says Ellis, who stopped selling supplements and wellness products a few years ago and now researches and writes about misinformation. Natural feels closer to God and God's created order. That is one of the main things that does crack me up actually about energy drinks and the fact that he chose an energy drink, because for over a decade, as a woman that was homeschooled, I've seen a lot of different women that I homeschooled with promote a million different MLMs that are weight loss, weight-based, God's best, natural living, bone broths, green drinks, and all of them are marketing using the same message, which is that we need to get back to the basics, God's basics of health. We should be eating a biblical diet and fueling ourselves with God's advice in mind. And every single one of these women have continued to hop from business to business to business, and although at this point I would have to believe that they do know that it is manipulative and a lie and doesn't work, they continue to do it in the name of Jesus.
Hey guys, I wanted to show y'all one of my new favorite brands. This is Amy Suzanne. Amy Suzanne is a faith-based wellness company. They believe that your body is a temple, and I could not agree more. I like taking one of these every day. It reminds me to treat my body respectfully throughout the day and to make healthy choices.
I have to tell you something. I am being called by God to be my own boss. I just had this like kingdom download occur. As we know in scripture, we're supposed to anoint our head with oil. There's so much like biblical things in this. Like God is so in this, okay? I'm going to be taking the oils part and then bringing something that's essential to people. It really brings out different beauties and emotions that God created.
All right. I have just a little bit of my bone broth left. It's warm at this point. Yeah. It's warm turkey juice, but I'm gonna make myself drink it in 3, 2, 1.
Go, babe. Chug. For Christ. Do for Christ. You got a little more left. You got it. He's so proud of you. He's so proud. Oh my gosh.
It sounds nice, but the reality is that a slightly healthier energy drink alternative does not translate to a relationship with God, and it certainly doesn't translate to a meaningful spirituality. Beyond that, this isn't some bone broth promising that they got the formula directly from the Israelites wandering in the desert. It's an energy drink. It's caffeine. No matter where the derivative source comes from, it's still not natural or God's design. It's still manipulative, and I have to imagine that the people hawking these types of products know that. They know they're catering to people's fears and selling Jesus as a lifestyle. Many Christians and secularists have called out Bryce's new product.
You genuinely think as a Christian you need an energy drink that is Christian branded?
like, you are not that serious. Like, you are not serious about religion. So we're just gonna skip over that part and go to the joke, okay? I am not a Christian grifter, but oh my gosh, has Bryce Crawford really cracked the code? If it doesn't get more niche of an industry of that fitness, gym people, Christian. I mean, that is just chef's kiss. The beverage market industry is so hard to break into, but Christian energy drink, man, like you really killed it. Like, honestly, I'm jealous I didn't think of this idea myself, or that I'm jealous I don't have a, worse relationship with the Lord and don't care about my morals and would grift Christianity. Cause I would be so rich, dude. Like, they're gonna eat this.
We got a little bit of a problem with our Christian energy drink company.
Oh, I agree that you have a problem with your Christian energy drink company. You know what the problem is? You're calling an energy drink company Christian.
The sides of our cans, the branding, and all the profile pictures of the socials, you'll notice this little line, and people are asking us, what is this line? And
Bryce, not one person has asked you what the lion is doing on the can. I think more people are asking, what the hell is a Christian energy drink? Does it contain, 10% of the blood of Christ or something?
But here's the problem. We don't have a name for him, so I decided, let's let you guys help vote on what names to choose from. So we have 3 options.
I agree, you have 3 options, but let me give them to you. First is Priestcraft Peter, because even I, an atheist, knows that using God's name to sell something is called priestcraft. The second best option is Judas. This means that Bryce has to kiss each can before it's sold for a handful of silver to betray the Lord. But absolutely far and away, the number one option is for you to stop this madness immediately and don't sell a single can.
For me, it's not really that I think Bryce's energy drink is particularly heinous. It's that his product provides a really clear example of the whitewashed, commercialized Jesus who preaches the religion of capitalism that so many of us have been seeing, especially since the 2010s. I've read to you guys from Christianity Today, who shockingly does share very similar views to me on this situation. So it's not that all Christians publicly support this type of marketing, but they're still buying it. So why? All right, you guys, hello. Obviously, this is a different day. I just finished editing it and I realized there are a lot of points that people have made online about why they feel like the criticism of Bryce is unfair. And while I still do emphatically disagree with them, they are making good points. And so I'm actually going to come back in today. I don't look the same, so I'm sorry that there's not that continuity in this video. But I am going to be just kind of popping in for this little chunk here. I'm going to show you some videos where people are giving their reasons why they think this is really an overreaction, people who have opinions like me. And then I'm going to respond to that and say why I think it is actually that deep.
First, they outrage for Voodoo and Liquid Death and all the other brands that are just absolutely horrible for you. When I saw a video of Bryce marketing Praise Energy, he was talking about how he wanted a cleaner energy drink, something better for us. Who doesn't like an energy drink?
There's a couple points in here that I really want to get to, and the first one is what she was originally talking about, which is like, why do people get so freaked out when it's Christian? Why, we have Monster, we have Liquid Death, we have all of these other brands that could be, Red Bull, could be like, all of these things could be perceived as like a cultic, satanic, demonic by more fundamentalist Christians out there. And my answer to that is people did freak out about that stuff. Christians absolutely do boycott these types of places all the time. They boycott Starbucks just for taking like Christmas, making them holiday cups instead of Christmas cups. I remember when I was in middle school and drinking Monster, there was this big thing about, and I'm going to butcher this, so go look it up if you actually care about this, but like it's like a 3 lines, like a claw mark, jagged lines, like a monster claw. But when you look up like the Greek symbol for the number 6, it looks like a 1, kind of like a poorly drawn 1, like one of the claw marks. And so 3 times, like in the Monster logo, would be 666, which would be the sign of the Antichrist. And people are like, they're not even trying to hide it. It's so thinly veiled. They literally named it Monster because it's the mark of the beast. So for her, it's like, yeah, Christians do freak out about this stuff all the time, although I think the difference is that Christians freak out because they're accusing others of being immoral, demonic, engaging in like devilish powers or something, whereas when secular people or even Christians, a lot of progressive Christians are upset about this and actually leading the conversation here, they get upset, I get upset because we see that they are being manipulative. It's like when I get really irritated with MLMs, yes, because they treat people poorly, but also because they really, really directly attack religious women, stay-at-home moms, and young girls. So I don't like that. Those are people who are all in like vulnerable spaces in life. I don't like that. I think that that's unethical. And so when we see other people doing marketing that's kind of deceptive, like doing deceptive marketing, that's really frustrating to see. Now, do I have an issue with a Christian product? No, of course not. And I don't feel like I covered that part enough in this video, and that's really kind of the main reason that I'm adding this in here. So really, please hear me when I'm saying that. I own Christian t-shirts. I've purchased Christian t-shirts, you know, I've purchased the fish necklace, the cross necklace, whatever. I think that if you feel like these items are supportive to your religious beliefs, I think like you should be able to purchase them, right? And those things can be appropriately marketed to Christians. But as somebody who has done branding and marketing for her entire career, there is a difference between brand identity and your actual marketing. Yes, they go hand in hand, but I think with religious stuff, your branding can be religious, but your marketing efforts should not be. This would be to say that if I owned like a Christian clothing company, I could market it and say like, build out your Bible camp summer wardrobe with our new t-shirt line, okay? That could be appropriate marketing. Yes, I'm still marketing to you going to Bible camp, and that's religiously motivated, but what I'm not doing is I'm not saying, hey, be closer to God by wearing this shirt. Look at all of your favorite influencers are wearing it. Or did you ever think that the clothes you wear could be a billboard for God, but instead you choose to wear whatever you want? You don't have like Bible verses on your clothes. Maybe the people around you, that's the first time they're seeing Jesus that day. Maybe that's the only exposure they'll have. Like maybe your good behavior out in public, like you can truly point people back to Christ now. That would not be appropriate marketing, right? Because that's manipulative and it's also not biblical. Again, as an atheist, I'm not saying that because I have personal ties, but I did, but I don't anymore. But you guys get what I'm saying. And I think that's a really, really important point to make, or at least like if I were helping with marketing for a Christian company, which I've done, I have done a ton of nonprofit work. I've worked at a lot of marketing agency type things as well. So I've had 8 or 9 nonprofit clients, and a lot of times those are religiously based. So I've thought these things through, you guys. It's how do you ethically do these things? How can we market a Bible to people? For example, we can say, this is a great study Bible. Dive back into the Word of God with like a fresh start. Custom engravings. What we're not going to say is buy our Bible or burn in hell. Or, like, God is counting the days you haven't opened the book. Like, that would be manipulative. I've been saying this for 5 minutes, so I'm going to move on. She actually has more to go. But I really want to make that clear, you guys, that, like, is a really big difference to me, especially from, like, a marketing brain, is just, like, is it manipulative? And to me, in a lot of Bryce's comments, we see people saying things like, Bryce is helping us to honor our bodies as God's temple by giving us these healthier alternatives. That is just bizarre. And that comes directly from the marketing that he is doing.
And why do you guys want every Christian who has eyes on them or like has support from other Christians, like living homeless on the side of the road with like $2 to their name? Like you're just mad because he's fruitful, financially free.
I don't want Christians to do bad at all. I have a lot of loved ones and friends that are Christians, and I want to see them thrive. And I have a lot of Christians who watch these videos or people that watch these videos that say that they're Christians. I love that. Like, I love that. I know a lot of progressive Christians who are incredible. So it's not at all that I don't want to see a Christian do well. It's that I want to see Christians if they are going around and telling other people, like, I have all the answers and live life the way I say, which is what Bryce does, I think that they should actually live out those standards. I don't think they should be a hypocrite. And I don't think that manipulative marketing, whether it's coming from a Christian or some other kind of influencer, is okay. I just think that when it comes to secular influencers, people have a little bit more of their guard up, I think. And when you use religion, people, it's not that they trust Bryce when they're buying his products. It's that they feel called by God to do it and they're trusting God. And so Christian influencers know that, they understand it, and that's very much why they use it in their marketing. That's why people call it out. And again, this is coming from somebody that like grew up super deep in the church and has done marketing for a ton of different organizations, working in agencies. Like I said, you could have like 8 or 9 clients at a time. Did that for several years, many years. So whatever, I'm gonna let the next TikTok go.
So we can have Death Wish coffee, Liquid Death energy drinks, Voodoo donuts, but we're drawing the line at Praise energy drinks. Do you know how many mystic, esoteric, superstitious-based companies there are in the world? Like, why are we making so much noise because it's a Christian-based company?
Yeah, so once again, Christians absolutely do make a big deal out of these things. I grew up with, all of the adults around me, all of the parents around me in my community referencing things like pluggedin.com, which was produced by Focus on the Family. You could go enter any movie, any product really, and they would tell you if there was anything wrong with it. And it was insane. Like, at one point, I'm pretty sure it said that Pokemon was like a gateway to anime porn and was made by porn makers, and so they like sneak in innuendos in for the children. It's like, not like your kid that is watching Pokemon is not gonna like, that's not a gateway. But Christians definitely have had issues with these things for a very, very long time. I kind of wonder if the Christians who say this maybe didn't grow up very religious and maybe like haven't gotten to the part of parenting yet where everyone is tweaking about this stuff. It's just like single adults care a little bit less. I feel like the satanic panic really happens when you have kids, for your kids, or like if you're a kid growing up, you really, really worry about those things because they seem significant when they're actually not. But again, it's okay to have a Christian product. It is just the marketing. And again, when Christians are mad about things like Voodoo donuts, they are just upset about like other cultures and feeling like they feel like it's bad energy. Whereas when we see a Christian product, we normally don't care unless people are being manipulated. Like with some of the essential oil brands, for example, are like terrible quality, also dubious research. Not going to get into that though. Also very much MLMs that target women, specifically Christian women, and are faith-based. I could give a million other, I don't want to really give names because I know so many people that have been in so many different MLMs. It's like, I don't want anyone I know to feel called out. So if you know me and you're watching this, I'm not talking about you specifically, whoever you are, because I am thinking of like, there's 20 names rolling in my head right now. I'm getting nervous. Whatever. We get mad in the secular world when people are being manipulative in the marketing. It's not about your faith, but a lot of times Christians, it's not that they're mad on behalf of the injustices of other people in marketing. They're mad that they aren't the only ones represented. So I hate that they're kind of making this comparison, but I can understand why, since Christians believe that they are persecuted and like God, the world hated Jesus first, so it'll hate them for sure. They just assume like that people have it out for them.
I really think people should stop using the word grift, because grift would imply that there is a con taking place, that there's some deception. Like Bryce said, hey, this energy drink is going to bring you salvation. It's going to bring you closer to God. Drink my energy drink, it's going to bring you prosperity. He never said that. He literally said, I drink energy drinks. I wanted to see if I could create a cleaner energy drink for the market.
So I would say like energy with a higher purpose is a spiritual claim that they are making. They're making that there's a higher purpose to you purchasing this. Again, I understand like Christians out there are going to respond and say, well, Red Bull gives you wings. Again, obviously there was some like lawsuit over that. Obviously people don't really believe that, though it's not intended to be actually believed. Whereas energy with a higher purpose, that is meant to be taken literal. There's kind of a word play there, but it's meant to be taken literally. I'm just reading off of the website. This one says fuel your day with purpose. Again, when you are a Christian, this is spiritual language and it actually means something. I'm scrolling up again. Let's see. They talk about how it's a community first drink that's built around faith, connection, and values. A drink, I don't know how it can really be built around faith, and values. I haven't seen, they say that they have like a community first mission twice here on their website, but there really is no, like, we're donating, we're doing this with it, this is where it's going. It very much appears at this time, based on their website, what they've put out, that it is a for-profit company, which is, again, that's okay, but then why are you making claims like there is a community first mission? Does that just mean, like, there's going to be more Bible verses around because you're buying our cans? That doesn't really, whatever. That just sounds like a more sales is your mission. This is the type of thing that feels, as somebody in marketing, it just feels kind of manipulative. If I were consulting Bryce Crawford, not that they would ever hire me or I would want to work for Bryce Crawford, but if I was, I would just maybe bring that up to them and say, we need to get really specific here because people are going to start asking, you've got this on here twice, what is the community first mission? What are we doing? What does that actually mean? And that community is more powerful than consumption. I agree, but this is consumption. This is people purchasing an energy drink. If we're relying on the strength of Jesus, we probably don't need an energy drink. It's not, like, great for our bodies anyway. I do drink caffeine. I do drink coffee, but whatever. They just don't have this, like, clear community mission. It says every can is crafted to support momentum, focus, and endurance while staying grounded in faith and honoring the work God places before us. The can cannot be crafted to help you stay grounded in faith and honor the work that God places before us. Again, there's going to be, that's the brand identity, but they're making a claim here, like the branding. They could maybe say here, like the design, they're saying every can is crafted. Sorry, I'm getting into the marketing. Like, every can is crafted. So I guess they could be saying, they're not saying every drink is crafted, but then is the can what is crafted to support the focus, momentum, and endurance? There's kind of a double thing here. Either the can is what's crafted, not the actual drink inside, but the can is what supports your focus, momentum, and endurance. And the can, given the branding, is also what's doing it. Or when they say can, they mean like every cup of Joe, every drink, like every, but I don't, again, that's a claim then if they're saying every can is crafted to support focus, momentum, and endurance while staying grounded in faith and honoring the work God placed before us. There's just a lot of claims in here. I get what they're saying. Other places don't make these claims, right? Or if they do, they're very clearly illogical. Red Bull gives you wings. We know that it's not really going to give you wings, whereas young Christians will actually buy this thinking that it's going to be supportive to their relationship with Christ, which is really not the case.
The backlash that I've seen is people saying, well, he's slapping God's name on it to make money, and why can't he just make a regular energy drink? Why does it have to be called Praise Energy? Why is he making energy drinks at all? Isn't this just another scheme to get rich? Here's where I think a lot of the hate for this is not well thought out, because to say like he's making money off of the name of God, when you slap Praise Energy or Jesus is Lord on sweatpants or Christian t-shirts, you are severely limiting who's going to buy your product.
This is the last TikTok I'm going to show you guys, and then we'll get back to the rest of the normal video where it's scripted, it's better thought out than this portion. But I hear people saying this a lot too, specifically saying like from a marketing perspective, this would be a terrible marketing strategy because marketing to Christians just mean it's going to be a teeny percentage of people. No, it's not. Like in marketing, you make decisions, you have to make decisions generally speaking, especially with like, let's say clothing. If you make a woman's shirt, you just cut out 50% of the population. Then let's look at the size range you have. You just cut out a lot of the population, right? So then when you get into more niche things like a graphic t-shirt, really, highlighter yellow that like most people might not want to wear. When you get into these more niche things, yes, you size down the market, but that doesn't mean that there isn't like a huge market for that thing. And it is profitable. Christians are a huge percentage of America. They make up a huge percentage of other countries as well. There are a lot of Christians in other countries. But yeah, especially in America where he is, promoting this product, there are a lot of Christians, and he is just going to appeal to that group of people. They might switch over. He's given them a bunch of spiritual reasons why that would be. But yeah, from a marketing standpoint, you are not like super narrowing down your audience, and therefore by creating a Christian product you are actually like taking on a burden and like trying to do something thoughtful for your audience. That is not the case. It's definitely strategic to be super niche down. Again, though, it's not the issue here isn't that he made a Christian product. It's kind of how he's marketing it and the religious language around it, and then him using his position as almost like a pastoral mentorship position to promote his own product. I get he's an influencer, but when you take on like a pastoral leadership role, typically the ethics would change there a little bit. Finally, we have to talk about the internet temple. You are turning my house into a den of thieves. Those are the words that Jesus spoke to the people selling at the temple. So what would he say to all of the Christians selling Bibles for triple the price for their own notes in the margins? What would he say to the Christian women who have never gone to seminary or even read through their Bible wholly for the first time, who are online telling women to spend their money on vitamins and broths rather than feed the homeless, the starving, and the poor? What would he say to the mamas declaring that red dye is spiritual warfare in the home? I think that all of these people selling ridiculous courses or products or even merch in God's name are all highly unethical. I do. I have to believe that they know exactly what they're doing. People are struggling financially today, especially those who adhere to the 10% income tithe that's mandated in most denominations.
We give hundreds of dollars away every month, even though we are in crippling debt. Hi, my name is Grace, and my husband and I are paying off $100,000 of student debt as fast as we can. And when I cut a watermelon, I talk about our finances, so let's get chit-chatting. I'm sure you're wondering, Grace, why are you giving so much money away every month if you're in debt? And the answer is, we tithe. And oh my goodness, has the Lord shown up 10 times over of what we have given to provide for us in our finances and make sure that we always have what we need. I could give so many examples of ways that God has shown up in our finances.
Jesus offered us a free gift of grace and his life. He laid down his life for those that he loved, if you believe the Christian viewpoint, which again, I don't, but let's just be clear, if I did, that is what the story says. I don't believe that any of these Christian influencers believe that selling a $50 course that took them less than 3 days to make is following in the sacrificial footsteps of Jesus. I don't think that they think they are giving of themselves. Beyond the fact that Jesus isn't for sale, we are. These energy drinks, these courses, and these products, they don't even work on a basic level most of the time. They offer horrific advice that is opinion-based or generic energy drink formulas that are a drop shipping model with a Bible verse on it, or they're, selling products, wellness products aren't regulated, so they don't have to work or be good for you. They aren't different, and in many cases, they wouldn't make the cut in a secular world. They appeal to their audience because they are appealing to the authority of God. They need no other reviews if Jesus is repping praise energy himself. This is to say, many of these Christian products don't offer spirituality, and they also don't even offer the non-magical benefits that they claim to provide.
Crawford, who's a Christian influencer, just recently dropped a video talking about an energy drink he's creating that's supposed to be Christian. And I don't really understand this. To me, it just feels like a grift, because I get wanting a healthier energy drink, but let's be honest, there are plenty of healthier alternatives. I think he's just trying to use Christianity as a marketing tool to get sales and make money. Now, maybe he's not doing it on purpose, but I think whether he's doing it on purpose or not, the reason he will get sales is because of the Christian aspect.
To the Christian influencers out there, do you not realize that you are not Jesus in the story with the righteous anger? Do you not realize that you are the sellers turning the temple into a den of thieves? I would encourage influencers to take God out of their marketing. God should not be for sale. If you claim to do ministry, then do ministry. If you sell products, then sell products. Don't conflate the two. If your expertise doesn't stand without the backing of God, you don't have expertise. If your marriage advice only stands when devout Christians are reading it, you do not have good advice. If your product is only honoring to God because the person who made it claims it and there's a Bible verse slapped onto it, It probably isn't. I think Jesus cared a lot more about structural injustices, abuses, and people being taken advantage of. And today I see Christian influencers doing that more than anyone else. These courses are robbing their audience. They're scamming them. We see it time and time again, and frankly, it's very, very disturbing, but I don't see very many Christians really speaking out about how egregious this misuse of the scripture is. Let me know what you guys think about this. Leave a like on the video, drop a comment down below, hit share and copy link. You don't have to send it anywhere, I promise, but it helps way more than you think that it will. Be a member if you want to see these videos 24 hours sooner than everyone else. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm really tired. I've been scheduling some of these videos in advance, and honestly, I felt like I was gonna throw up all day. That is where I'm at right now. All right, thank you guys for your support. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.
I love that verse in the Bible where God calls out to his influencers and commands them to make a Christian clothing brand. Because there's not enough of those out there. We need more of those.